welcome back to Evil Popcorn. Yes, we've gone to the movies again. And we went and saw Baghead, but we'll get to that. First of all, to my screen left, who do we have?
Would that be me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I can't see your screen.
I threw in the screen left. I threw in. It was going so well. It was well planned, children. And then I threw in the screen left.
It's all good.
Yeah,
It's
Baron,
me.
how are
Hi,
you?
I'm the Baron. Yes, we went and saw Baghead at the cinema. I believe thanks to Faith
Yeah,
Nightclub
please.
for providing free tickets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Faith Nightclub Brisbane, Richard Warman. Thank you very
Yep.
much, dude. Really appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah, go
Appreciate
check
it.
out their nightclub. Yeah, at their event that they have. It's all over Facebook, social media. Yeah, shout out. And
So yes.
yeah,
And to
and
my
that
screen
leads-
some way.
It's me. I'm Scream Queen, and this is my first time on our little movie excursion. I'm very excited. And fun fact about me, I actually wore a bag on my head for the ages 11 to 17. So this is really a personal film to me.
Okay.
So
thank you for
yeah,
sharing that with us.
Yeah,
Scream
appreciate
you're
it.
welcome.
Yes.
Just thought I'd be really vulnerable.
I
with
love
you
that.
guys
I love
for a
that for you.
second.
It's a safe place. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a good opportunity because we're able to tie it into our Evil Popcorn goes to the movies, little sub-series, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, just another conversation.
Yep.
And yeah, I'll just get to the facts first. I'll just get to the, what's written up here online so everyone knows what we're talking about. Baghead, it was a 2023 horror film. We just got it this year, pretty much this month, being February. This is Brisbane, Australia. We've never said that. I don't know. This is where we're actually
Surprise.
located.
Maybe.
I'm not sure. Not sure. But yeah,
Yeah.
update. Directed by Alberto Corredor. Yeah. From a screenplay by Christina. These names.
Pammies.
Pammies.
Christina
Yeah.
Pammies.
And Bryce Maguire. Now we know Bryce Maguire, don't we? My
We do.
beloved co-host. Baron,
Yes.
what do we know?
Bryce
How do we know
Maguire.
him?
Bryce Maguire would be known for exercising in a wet environment in a nocturnal time frame. Night swimming. Yes. Oh yeah. I've had some time to think about Night Swim and discuss it with some people.
Okay.
Yeah, it hasn't got better.
No,
No,
it has not aged. It's molded.
Yeah.
Mold has grown.
So that was your background knowledge going into Baghead, was that you had seen Night Swim.
I
Yeah.
had watched the short for this. And I have watched the Night Swim short a couple of times since we saw Night Swim. And the more I watch the short for Night Swim, the more the short grows on me as an amazing piece of filmmaking. It's just unfortunate that the feature wasn't great.
Okay. Good segue because this is based on a short as well. Yeah. Any other important information? This was shot in Berlin. Yeah, so this is not a Blumhouse like we had with Night Swim. I think that's an important distinction. We've got a bunch of studios here, but I'm just going to name Studio Babelsberg, which would have handled, I'm assuming, the studio that a lot of this was shot in, the pub, the primary location that this was shot in.
Queen's Head, is that what it is? Yeah.
So yeah, it's not a straight up American Blumhouse movie, even though it's got a kind of that feel. I don't know. That's just me at this point, but I won't digress. I won't digress. Shall we do general impressions?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think any other information, anyone wanted to point out at this stage, just in terms of production stuff?
I liked the set designs. I really liked the external location. Made it really like atmospheric. And even though the location in the film is supposed to have been lived in, you get a real feel that this was a guy that was living there by himself and not in a happy place. Like,
Yeah,
this
absolutely.
Was not a home. This was not a home. This was a place where he existed.
Let's give him some
vacuous.
let's give him some context first before impressions. Actually, we'll just do the plot so people know precisely what we're talking about. I'll make it short and sweet. A young woman inherits this is off IMDb. A young woman inherits a rundown pub and discovers a dark secret within its basement. Baghead, a shape-shifting creature that will let you speak to lost loved ones, but not without consequences. Yeah.
One thing with that, if people are interested, there is a link to probably some loved material. The dad, the guy that dies at the start of the film, Ned Dennehy, I believe.
Right.
He was one of the demons in the Good Omens series with Michael Sheen.
Very cool.
And
yeah, okay, I like that.
Oh,
I don't recognize him. Sorry.
I've also just realized the lead actress is in the Witcher series as Freya Allen is her name, and she plays
Iris.
Yes, but no.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Iris.
Siri, no, she plays Siri.
Iris in this. She plays Siri in The Witcher, yes, and Iris in this.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, the set design is very nice. What they do with the pub inside, it's almost a gothic horror feel to it. I liked the use of blacks. What they did visually, the cinematography, they really created a focal point of what you should be looking at. And then when stuff was creeping in the background, it became that more effective. My favorite moment is when Baghead was creeping along the roof when you were focusing on something else in the background. That actually gave me a chill. But then on the flip side, the jump scares, I'll just keep going with my general impression. Sorry, Baron, we'll get back to you.
No, you're right. It's all good.
Yeah, and the jump scares were a bit obvious, a bit blatant, because there was a lot of crescendos preceding it, loud music, just loud sound in general.
Yeah, like I jumped because I always jump, but that's it's not because they were good jump scares. But
and I get omitting the gore. You got to get whatever ratings you need to get, or your choice as a director, etc., etc. But not showing any of the impact afterwards. And just relying on that build up beforehand, coupled with the fact that the exposition at the start, which actually acts as a part, like a trailer almost, before the movie starts.
I did think that they had played the trailer before the film started. I was like, is this a preview thing? Like, is this just something they do? But that was actually part of the film.
Yeah,
that was a part of the film. And so that's a lot of the mystery gone, just to put it lightly. And also the monster, just in general, as you know, all horror needs monsters. Baghead was revealed pretty quickly and regularly, to the point they were almost just hanging out in the room with Baghead.
Yeah.
So scare factor, creep factor.
Nothing.
But that's sorry, ranting. But Baron, please go.
No, it's all good. I was just gonna say there's no that room went from a really scary location to just another room.
Yeah,
it was only when they got close to the hole that it became scary again.
Yeah, because it's the unknown. I feel like I watched The Boogeyman and I really, really loved that movie. But as soon as you see the face of the monster, as soon as the mystery is gone, I was not scared anymore. And it's like, if that's your titular character, everything hinges on this character. It's the photo of every promo poster, everything. To get that just like out of the gate done, you know everything about this monster that you need to know, you know how it works, you know everything. They don't have to discover that. Takes a lot of the scare out of it.
Presented with the information, and then you just watch them deal with it as it unravels.
Yeah.
But other general impressions, like, did we like it or dislike it?
I thought it was like I enjoyed watching it. Like I didn't feel like it was a complete waste of my time to have seen it. I thought it was like
I agree.
it was a movie, and it had, parts that I was really engaged in, and I thought the performances were pretty good too from the two. I like the relationship between, I like the setup of, oh, she doesn't have a lot of money, like she's so desperate. I like their justification for why she would actually stay there. I thought that was actually very, like, I was like, oh no, that makes sense. She has nothing. Like, she's grown up, I would assume, in the foster system. She doesn't have a lot of close relationships. She doesn't have a lot of success in life. And like, she was kicked out of her place. It makes a lot of sense that she would stay in this random house where there's possibly danger.
Absolutely. I would have done the same.
Where someone handed her $4,000 on the first night.
A few times in my life, I would have done that.
Yeah. So I was like, I completely believe that the character would do that. And then, the fact that the monster is getting in her head and making her do even crazier things. I liked the way that played out. Yeah. For sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Given the revelation of the way it affected the dad, do you think it was affecting her quicker because of that? Or do you think it was they just did it for the narrative? Because he was there for like 20 years.
I think it's because Baghead, because of this is what I'm assuming from the lore of the film, but I think I interpret it as he's used Baghead so much that she's become so powerful that it's like she can get in someone's head just like that, because she's already like become so close to breaching like her, where she's been banished to, that like it's so much easier for her to have that outreach to like the master or whatever. Is how I interpreted it, at least.
So Scream Queen, just so our children of the popcorn out there know, how does Baghead actually work? What's the monster mechanism for this horror film?
Excellent question. So this character Baghead is a witch. Do you want to go into the history and then how that works, or just the monster?
Let's just leave off the very end in terms of spoilers. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Okay. We find that Baghead is a witch that has the ability to bring back the dead, and how this manifests in the film is this creature will consume something that belonged to a person who has died and transform into that person who is deceased. And we learn that from that point, from the transformation, a person has 2 minutes to talk to the person that is deceased until the witch sort of starts to take hold of what the deceased person is saying and start to have, I guess, more nefarious conversations and more dangerous. They sort of can't control her, and the more that Baghead is used to communicate with the dead, the stronger she gets. Baghead was sort of created, she was a witch who was manipulated by this brotherhood, this cultish brotherhood that would use her to communicate with the dead. And she sort of wreaked havoc on the village or community or the brotherhood that were using her, and they had to rein her in somehow. So they cursed her, banished her to the building that she's in now, bricked her up so that she could never hurt anyone again, and no one would ever, misuse her. But somewhere down the track, a member of the Brotherhood wanted to use her abilities again, and that's sort of how she has come into contemporary life.
Yeah.
And she, Oh, no, go.
And Iris inherits this building,
Yeah.
yes, containing
Yeah.
Baghead. Yeah, that's
So the people that own the building are Baghead's master. There's sort of a
their
mystical
names on the
document.
deed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Once
use the
they
word
sign it.
guardian a lot. Guardian. The
Yeah.
Baghead's guardian rather than master, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry.
No,
Important.
distinction. Yeah. And if she can't go, the guardian's responsibility is to make sure she never leaves that basement. That's sort of where the movie starts. And if you cross the threshold into her sort of territory, is when you're very unsafe. You have no command over her whatsoever.
Yes, and the Baron is wonderfully illustrating the lair, if you will, of Baghead. And Iris is quite a, go-getter, definitely. Which I liked about this film. I don't want to be 47 years old saying it's
Go for it.
It's a good for her film, but it is. Yeah, to use contemporary parlance. Yeah.
It
film
is.
terms. Yeah, it is.
Which surprised me. I did not
this
see.
comes from Iris, who's a very good, strong, female lead. What's the actor's name again? You said it before their screen queen?
Oh, great question.
Freya Allen.
Yeah, Freya
Allen.
And the witch, yes, the person who physicalized, if you will, the witch, a Baghead, was very good. And I liked that about her, and that seemed to be a positive response when we came outside of the movie cinema. Yeah, on the first viewing, that was the one big positive people were taking away from it.
Yeah, I think the Baghead, I mean, that's sort of a positive thing that you would want people to take away from this film, is that Baghead was a very interesting sort of character. Like you said, I think I think we are introduced to the monster and the way that it looks and everything a little bit too quickly, but I do think it's a very interesting design of the character. Like the Baghead, like having a little sack on your head with a little hole, you can just see one eye, and it's sort of decrepit, and the physicality is very interesting, and like you're like, it's very intriguing when that character comes through the hole, especially at the beginning of the film. We haven't seen what the character looks like at all.
I liked the eating of the objects. I thought that was a cool gimmick. Yeah. I thought that was very effective.
Interesting thing there, in that first scene where Baghead takes in the ring, the Guardian says, "Oh, she's never done that before."
Yes.
Or that's new, or something to the effect that this is a change to the way the creature works.
That's right. I'm with you. With you. Yeah.
So there's some there's a whole bunch of backstory here that I would love to see, but we didn't get to see it. But yeah, it's just it's interesting.
Is this a short film versus stretched out to feature film issue? Like Night Swim? Did it hold your attention for the runtime? No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
People have argued that online, but I don't think so, because the my image there, viewers, check us out on YouTube. Follow us. In the background with the guy, just a guy standing in a hallway, black, like he's got leotards on with a black sack on his head, and the music's very creepy. It's a very effective little short film, except it ends way too quickly. In my opinion, you're left wanting more. So it's a simple idea of some creepy thing with a bag on its head, which has been transferred over to this. And the eating of the objects was cool, except it got a bit arbitrary, or, just for the hell of it, like the cell phone at the end, that really doesn't hold a lot of emotional resonance or, memories.
No.
Barrett, in general, what did you think about this? Did you overall enjoy it? Would you recommend it?
I was entertained. I wouldn't necessarily rush to see it at the cinema, but if you feel like seeing it at the cinema, by all means do so. But it'll work just as well on streaming.
we'll get back to the Baron's recommendation. We'll get it to you somehow. Yeah. Hey, it might be the birth of our TikTok. Would you recommend this, Scream Queen? What's your overall thoughts, feelings? Yay, nay?
I don't. I think there's a lot more interesting horror out there. I think it's definitely, like, not to discredit the artist who made it. I think it's, it's an interesting concept.
Never.
And, like we said, the short is very intriguing in itself. And it was obviously a jumping board to this whole history and lore of this Baghead character, which, is a fun exploration. And it's definitely not a bad, like a horrendous film by any means. But I do think that I would be more keen to go see something that is doing something a little bit fresh and a little bit new, and a little bit less formulaic, I think is a word that used a lot after we saw the film. Which there's nothing wrong with a trope. Sometimes, that can be comforting, I guess, to some, but
true, as long as it's not too soon, because this movie definitely follows a formula that a very successful little Australian film that we covered in our very first episode, children. Go back if you haven't listened, of Talk to Me. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, speak to those on the other side within an allotted period of time, or bad shit happens.
Yeah, and it's like immediately, like straight out the gate, as soon as the movie started, I was like, so it's Talk to Me. And comparisons like that are always going to happen, but I think coming off like such huge success so recently, people are still talking about that movie, and as they should. Like, immediately, I think we all gave it 5s, pretty much. Like,
pretty much. Yeah,
that movie was so
4s and 5s. Yeah.
So if you're going to do similar rules in your movie, I just think it needs to be a little bit more groundbreaking, for less of a better word. I think it needs to swerve in a little bit of a different direction. But it is the sort of thing, it's like, the timer goes off, they go past the timer and things happen, but the stakes, I guess, aren't very high. When that timer goes off, it doesn't really seem like, whereas in Talk to Me, for example, like this, like if you go past the timer, like it's like life and death. And I feel like the stakes were not really there in this movie. But not to say that I wouldn't recommend people see it. I think it's, it's an entertaining, it is like a horror movie that is in cinemas right now. So,
yes, it is.
And we don't get them as often as a Marvel movie, for example.
Good point. So even if you're not going to love it, go see it. So we can see more of the good stuff.
For sure.
And this isn't horrible by any means. It's a fun one-time watch. Yeah.
There were some creepy moments, some interesting, some twists and turns and things that I thought were fun.
But it was, I would have approached it. Not saying I can do any better, but if I was going to look at this, I would have approached it differently in the way I would have structured the plot, and rather than just this and that, and then this and that, and then this and this, and then that, and they were done. I would have revealed a lot less, a lot more sparsely, to create that, because there was no feeling of the uncanny, and you had a prime concept to be as uncanny as fuck. With the Baghead, and when it was eating the objects of importance, like a wedding ring, an engagement ring, I forget exactly what it was. That was very effective.
And it could have been so gross, and like it almost like that. When it ate the ring initially, I was like, this is almost like Del Toro-esque. Like, I feel like it could be like almost as Baghead could be almost as like prolific as that. Like if they had given it sort of the time to like eked out the information a little bit slower, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then you could have developed a very nice relationship between Iris and Baghead. And
That would have been so interesting.
Yeah.
I just think they didn't, like, I don't know if I would have wanted it to be an hour and a half, longer than an hour and a half. Sorry. I'm not a fan of the 3-hour movie thing becoming the norm by any means. But I do think they could have, they could have used the time a lot more wisely to develop relationships and make it more of just like we gotta stop this from happening. I feel like they focused a lot on like, for example, the friend, what happens to the friend. I don't know if we want to put that spoiler in there, but
just as long as we don't do the ending.
So her friend is lost along the way because of, you know, her carelessness, I guess, a little bit. Iris's carelessness. And we don't even see the friend like face up with Baghead. We just see her step through the wall, and then we see her dead, and we don't really see any of that in between. I feel like that's where the horror is, and I guess it's a mystery of like, is she alive, is she dead? That's what they want, but I just think they missed out on a lot of the sort of scary, gory things that you were talking about earlier.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. See, I mean, like, this was a very personal film, what was going on here as well. You could kind of tell. From the director's perspective. So this is by no means shitting on anything whatsoever. No. But the way,
No, I just wish that it had focused its time sort of developing the relationship, like you said, between Baghead and Iris, and sort of got more into sort of the like gross, fantastical thing that.
And it's more of a slow reveal, reveal. Yeah.
I've got a bit of a take on that.
Please.
It's a feeling that I had throughout the film, which was borne out when I looked at my watch a couple of times. So this film is exactly 90 minutes long. The first act ends at exactly half an hour. The second act ends at exactly an hour. So I think that they were given some constraints, some physical constraints that meant that they had to perform to a formula, which meant that they couldn't luxuriate in parts of the film. They couldn't give you that slow build to a crescendo. What they had was just a walk up a hill, basically. So it started, we got to a certain point with a reveal at the end of the half hour. Then we continued and we got to another reveal at the end of the hour. And then we went into the denouement, which then got to the climax. It's not wrong. It's not bad. It's just this was a real formula that they filmed to.
And that extends out to production, studio pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
Course. Yeah.
I mean, it's clear they're capable of doing the sort of slow burn stuff just from the short film. Like it's very slow burn, but it's very intriguing. I guess that's sort of the beauty of like short indie films, is they can like do that stuff. Like they're obviously like, once you get into the big blockbusters, like we saw it with the Philippou brothers, like they wanted to constrain talk to me a lot more, so they went with sort of they went a different direction. You sort of hear them talking about like that I'm mincing my words here, but like it's very, creators have to be very careful who they sell their movies to, who they sell their ideas to, because
absolutely
their ideas can get quashed. And not that is like necessarily what happened, but like obviously there are certain things you have to hit, like you were saying, Baron.
I'm not sure if I mentioned it off air, but I'll say it again. It did have a Blumhouse feel to it. Definitely in the way, that the pace of it, the structuring of it, and also Not that it was exactly the same as Night Swim, but the coloring certainly within the lighting and the coloring that was used, the grading within the pub. It was a similar kind, it was on the same palette and distributed in the same way in the frame. And it really, and in terms of formulaic horror, I'm sorry to say it at the moment, but you've done it to yourself. And this is just me speaking. Blumhouse, as a prime example. And certainly I've got a little kind of factory system starting to just churn them out. This kind of has echoes of that, I will. Yeah. Which is a larger conversation to movies at large, not just horror. Speaking of that, though, this is from the producers of It and Barbarian, just to throw that out there. And I would definitely recommend it. No, if you're a fan of horror and you just want to go for some light, easy, definitely popcorn horror entertainment. This one,
I had some popcorn. I was enjoying it. It was good.
The meme term of that.
It's not challenging. It's not challenging, but it was fun.
It's a good one-off watch. It's a good one-off watch, and the best way to do it is at the cinema. But definitely check it out on streamers.
I know. Baron and I was sort of sitting like it's the thing. It's like you see her go down to the basement. You're like, don't go down to the basement. What are you doing? Or say no, or don't do that. So it's one of those. If you want to sort of yell at the screen, I mean, audience around you pending. It's definitely one way you can do that. Where you're like, don't do that, and you can sort of feel smarter than the main characters for sure. So that's always a fun movie experience.
Everyone in this film has a poor decision tree moment at least once.
Especially Iris.
She did her best with what she was given, Iris. Definitely. But it was fun. We had a whole row covered. Shout out again to Faith Nightclub Brisbane and Richard Warman. We were able to fill up a whole row, people who are, involved in the competition and the winning of. And so that was great. And it was a fun atmosphere. There was definitely some laughing and some reactions to jump scares. What did you guys think of the trailer to Imaginary? Because we will go and see it. It's coming.
I want to see that.
Yeah, I do.
It looks fun. People's reaction to the bear was really fun in the trailer. So we'll see. It's Blumhouse as well. So it did have that feel very much. But I really love Megan, so I have hope that it's going to be this sort of same tone as that. I don't know. We'll see.
So there's two films.
Yes.
There's two films coming out at the moment. There's Imaginary and there's It. No. If, which is the Ryan Reynolds kind of comedy vehicle with kids and imaginary friends as well. So maybe we're going to see more imaginary friend films.
Maybe.
Okay, interesting.
Just one thing before you continue. Just one thing. And this is nothing to do with Baghead, but with the imaginary friend thing, I always like to go back to. There's an episode of Supernatural. Now I can't remember the which season it was and which episode in the season it was, but the two brothers get embroiled in an imaginary friend hunt where there is someone going around and murdering imaginary friends, but only the kids can see the aftermath. So the parents will be walking through and there's, they're absolutely perfectly fine. And the kids sitting there and like just blood splattered on the walls and like the head pulled off a thing. Every time I think of imaginary friends, I go back to Supernatural. So but I'm really interested to see this film.
Excellent. Thank you for that.
All good.
So stuff is coming out. Have you seen Madam Web, Baron?
Yes, I have.
Okay, what did you think before I offer a question to the table,
Okay, so look,
to the bucket?
it's not a it's a good question, but it's not. The problem is I
Okay.
am the exact target market for that
That's
film.
why I must.
Okay, so I've got a deep cut interest in the Spider-Verse. I remember the Madam Web character from when she first came out. I watched the Spider-Woman cartoons when I was a kid in the late 70s, early 80s. I loved all of the Spider Killer stuff with Morlun, and like all of this is just background for that. And it's just like, oh, they've gone so deep to the bench, and they've gone to this other world, and oh, look, there's Ben Parker, and we see the birth of Peter Parker, and like it's all just like that it's the sprinkling on the top of the cheese of your pizza of just that little bit of five spice or a little bit of Parmesan cheese that's going to make the future Spider-Verse films better, because like, oh, we got to see that thing or blah blah. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a terrible movie, but I was the target market. There's a lot of studio fuckery with that film. They messed around with it something fierce. They did reshoots. They did ADR, and they reduced it from what was going to be a light horror down to a kid's film or a teen's film.
Okay, thank you for that. Thanks for that. Because why I asked that now, as it stands at the moment, we are a movie review podcast specializing in horror films. Yeah. And Madam Web has begun to affect something that we are very much on the periphery, of course. Yeah, we are, but we're still involved in film criticism online. You know, we're movie reviewers, film critics, by effect, whatever you want to call us. And Madam Web has caught a lot of flack. I haven't seen the movie. Yeah, just to clarify. And one of the main guys who's been doing movie reviews, one of the kind of founders, Stegman is his surname, his first name eludes me at the moment, sorry. But he's got 2 million followers. You know, he's probably, you know, the Anthony Fantano of the movie reviews on YouTube. Yeah. Now he has become involved in film production himself. He's going to make a movie, and it's a studio movie, and he got it through his YouTube business, his YouTube shenanigans.
Is it Ryan Stegman?
Thank you. That is the name.
Okay.
Yes. And he declared that he's not going to be reviewing movie reviews anymore. And I'm not sure if he did declare this on the Madam Web. Well, it's not a review. It's kind of like an apology, to put it bluntly. So he's not going to give bad reviews anymore. So he doesn't want to be a movie reviewer, full stop. And with Madam Web, he basically spoke about what the Baron just highlighted about studio fuckery. Yeah. Point being is, it's. I mean, is film criticism important? And because, you know, it's got to the point of studio, even like, you know, involvement in a way, in an indirect way at this point anyway, that is stopping it at some point in one of the biggest names, if not the biggest name, doing it. Yeah, if you know what I mean. That's why I asked that question, just to give a context. Yes. What do you guys reckon of that happening?
Before we deep dive in that, just one little fact about Madam Web that will explain. For those people that don't know, Sony Pictures owns the rights to Spider-Man, Spider-Verse, and all the Spider characters. They were sold to them when Marvel was running out of money. Marvel nearly went into bankruptcy, so they sold off the X-Men and they sold off Spider-Man to 2 different entities. So they sold X-Men to Fox, and they sold Spider-Man to Sony. Now, Sony has to put out a cinematically released Spider-Universe film once every 12 months.
Yeah.
So that's why we got Morbius in the form in which it appeared.
Mm.
That's why we've
Mhm.
got Madam Web in the form in which it appeared. We're also getting Craven probably beginning of next year just to cover that. And back in the day, we got the film of the Fantastic Four that was made but not released, because back then they didn't have to release the film, they just had to make the film. So there is a Fantastic Four film that everybody has. It's been bootlegged to hell and back,
Mhm.
but it's been made but was never released because it was cheaper for them to make a film and not release it than lose the license.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, there's an example of studio fuckery.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I asked this question as well because we've had, just for this year, we've had Night Swim and Baghead, as this is, Evil Popcorn Goes to the Movies. And we've had two formulaic movies, yeah? And then one that we were talking about, the Talk to Me thing before, Baron, the similarity with the primary premise, how the internal mechanism of it works with the speak to your loved ones within a lot of time. Otherwise, shit gets bad, real bad.
Yeah. It's very similar. Like I had that feeling during the film. I went, "Oh, this is familiar because we've just seen it."
But there are tropes, but then there's just hey, that's cool. This just came out fantastic,
Yeah.
Student, so it's a balance, but
there's a difference. There's a difference between critiquing something and shitting all over it. And I think one of the things that happens with people is they get to the point where they're jaded about what they're doing, and they start to see everything in a negative connotation because it gets clicks. And if you crap all over something, it gets energy. So you get energy, you get clicks, you get clicks,
gets engagement.
Correct.
Which is what gets them the moolah.
I think there's a big difference between being a reviewer and being a critic.
Okay, cool. I like that.
Yeah, critic has a very negative connotation to it because it's critical. Whereas a reviewer will go, "This is a film I saw. This is what I thought of it, but go and see it for yourself." I mean, we said the same thing when we did the Night Swim. We went, "Okay, while we didn't necessarily like this, this has an audience. Someone out there will like it. If you want to see it, go and see it. We will never say don't go and see it, but just be aware it has some problems from our perspective."
Yeah, absolutely. And we watch it in our own way. For me, myself, I just want to help make better movies because I think film theory is cool, film analysis. And I like to approach movies when I review them, especially from that kind of angle. Nothing too heavy. I don't want to get too, bogged down in jargon and lingo on a review because it's meant to be entertaining as well as in the hope of pointing a few things out in the hope of just making better movies all round. Because I also very much like movies where directors have gone and looked at film theory as well as, the critiques and reviews and made more interesting stuff because of that. So it can create a nice feedback system, a nice to and fro. What do you reckon, Screen Queen?
I think like we've even seen that just like in our reviews of things. And like you said, there's a distinction between a reviewer and a critic, but even just like hearing each other talk about the films we watch, we gain a deeper appreciation for them. Like our ratings will go up from when we started the episode to when we finish it. And I think, that is why critics and like film reviewing can be like so important because, there's something you can't pick up everything from an initial watch of film. And like, it's not to steer people's perception of the film necessarily, but just be like, this is something you might not have noticed the director was doing that was really, really cool and makes this film even more rich than maybe you initially thought, which I think is like super important. But I think the discussion around like how technology and social media has influenced what film criticism has become is like another huge thing. Obviously we have TikTok and we have Letterboxd and I feel like people my age at least, that, you know, we're not looking at Rotten Tomatoes so much anymore. It's more just like, oh, if I want to watch a film, if I want to figure out what to watch, I go to Letterboxd and I see just what an everyday person is saying about the movie.
That's cool.
I did find this really interesting Guardian article by someone called Manuela Lazic, that talks a lot about the difference between critics and influencers. Definitely check it out. It's called Who Needs Film Critics When Studios Can Be Sure Influencers Will Praise Their Films. And I think it comes back a lot to that studio fuckery.
Yeah, the Ryan Stegman guy is crossing over. I don't know the guy personally. This isn't personal, but he's crossing over from a film reviewer to an influencer. Yeah. And as you said, the studios, they're the influencers. They will work together beautifully in a symbiotic glee. Yeah.
I'm looking at Letterboxd right now, and the second review down is Talk to Meh.
Oh, how dare they?
But like they really like, sometimes they really just hit the nail on the head. Like, I can't lie for a second.
It's an art form unto itself. I've got to give it to it, because some of the humor is just like, wow, that's funny.
But again, that's funny. It's like it's not like constructive criticism. Like some people do on Letterboxd. Some people really like they really break down films and stuff. But you know, that's not why people use the app. And this journalist specifically talks about how if an influencer is invited to a film, they're gonna get a whole bunch of free swag for going. So the incentive is to give positive reviews. And they talk about Barbie specifically, which I think is really interesting. They were told just to leave a positive review when they came into the film, which I know has been happening. It's not new. But it's just very interesting, because you know, they're getting merchandise and they're getting praise and they're getting audiences from these studios. So why, like, what is the incentive to leave a bad review that actually like
It is important though to be honest though with movies, because it does create the richer understanding of it when you really understand it, and whether you like it or not. But also it is a business though as well. It is a product that you are paying for. And if you're going out to a meal to a restaurant, what do? You go and look at some reviews. There is that to it. It's got to be a kind of fair thing between the business and the product and the person as well.
And this writer is sort of saying, like, where will engaging, challenging, unbiased conversation about cinema take place if this is sort of the new normal?
And then good new movies won't get made. It's all exactly.
And like you said, like, I think film criticism is important because it helps make cinema better, and it helps in a cultural way understand what movies the world wants made, and why do we want them made, and why are the films that are popular, and where is that going next? And I just feel like we need that cultural understanding to like have good movies, and like sometimes, like, again, I'm going to talk about Jennifer's Body because I love that movie.
Please do.
But famously tanked when that movie was released, and fumbled by the studio and the marketing and critics, especially male critics, I'll say it, absolutely tore it to shreds. They didn't get it.
Really? Okay.
They didn't get it. They,
not surprising.
But now that film is so beloved because it's found the right audience. So not to say that, film critics can't not get it wrong. Obviously, it's everyone. It's so subjective. But
it depends. Like,
no, but it's so subjective. But it's not the be all and end all. But it does speak to a larger like cultural thing. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
It depends on the critic as well.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's why the studio fuckery, certainly in the case of Stegman, came into play. Because, you know, you've got the highfalutin critics, you know. What are their names? Cecil and Egbert? Once upon a time.
Oh, yeah, Roger
Siskel and
Ebert.
There we go. Thank you. Yeah,
Gene
you
Siskel
know.
and Roger Ebert.
Yeah. And it used to be a more highfalutin position, you know, of higher status and that sort of thing. It was relegated to. And then along came YouTube, of course, and dismantled that as it dismantled a lot of those pantheons, you know, those pedestals. And so the Stegman guy is a regular dude. Cody Lynch is big, he's a regular dude. Spooky Astronaut, you know, just a regular weirdo like us, and they're seeing a profit in that is what I think has also happened with him as well, you know, seeing it as a target. And to just comply with that by saying, hey, no, I'm only just going to promote the movies that I like, i.e. that the studio wants him to promote. Assumptions, yes, but it's going to, you know, it's going to affect, it could be a causality that could affect what we do. Yeah.
And
Just
obviously
thought, it was interesting.
There's an upside to taking the sort of like snootiness, I guess, out of film critique, like that some, you know, not everyone's going to want to hear about the mise en scène of a film necessarily. But you know, it's important to like encourage audiences to think critically. I feel like with social media, this is something, and like I say this as someone who's very much engaged in social media. My brain is rotting every day. But like I feel like people have thrown critical thinking out the window a little bit. You know, we don't really have to think because we're engaged in other people's opinions constantly. And so I think film criticism, like good, unbiased, like informed film criticism can like really, it can be like a really good thing to like force people to sort of like think differently about things and think about like how content and form like work well in films together. And I think there is like obviously a love for film even in just like the degular guys.
Oh, absolutely. Most
and
popular art form in the world. There's an emphasis on popular.
There just needs to be a balance, I think, between like just letting just like any old regular Joe just like talk shit about a film and like be oh yes, he's amazing, or like say, oh, this film is perfect and has no flaws, like the Barbie movie, like for example, you know, just because, to get like a little PR package. Because it's not the perfect movie. Like what movie is really Jennifer's Body, but
Tremors for me is the perfect movie. Tremors.
But yeah, I think it's a really interesting. Interesting.
Oh, we know who's got the highfalutin now.
What that was canned when it came out. It was
it was.
But then there's we were sort of talking about this earlier with Baghead. A lot of I saw this, you know, with film criticism being sort of up and down art form, like being a little less popular, maybe the landscape's completely changing. There's also the thing like after the strikes and you know, with appreciation for film and like going outside, leaving your house rather than engaging in like just quick streaming, like so much to access. Like the quote from this article was, why discourage more people from going to the movie theater with a bad review? Like why would you want to discourage that? And so I think that's also an element of it, and not that that's all that film criticism is bad reviews, but it you know, it's definitely a factor. You know, you don't want people, you want people in those seats, you want people to go see the movies. That's what I was saying, like go see Baghead. It's not perfect, but you know, it's a horror movie and we want to see more horror movies in cinemas, you know.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day,
please.
At the end of the day, it's a piece of entertainment and we were entertained. Like it fulfilled its remit. We turned up, We saw the film. I don't feel that I wasted my time. I would happily have paid to see it, even though we got free tickets. Thank you once again, Faith Nightclub and Richard
Thank
Warman.
you.
But I would happily have paid for it. The trailers looked great. The performances were excellent. The sets were great. The story was plain. I think that's the worst I can say about it. It was a plain story. And I think that's down to the studio messing about with we need it to be a 90-minute film, and it needs to hit this, and it needs to hit this, and it needs to hit this, and then it needs to end. And you need to
that's crazy. Yeah.
You need to save it for a sequel. You need to, we need to be able to possibly make this into a what do they call them now? A product? No.
IP.
Yeah, well, like the Fast and the Furious, we need to make it into a franchise. So this is going to become the Baghead franchise. So we're going to do 3 of them, then we'll do a prequel, and then we'll set one in space.
Yes.
For sure.
As you do.
Yeah, like if you're going to talk about film reviews and film criticism, you have to look at the larger beast of studios for sure. But You
have to take it all, and you can't keep everyone happy.
Yeah.
Either, but there's a balanced way to do it, because we don't want to turn anyone off going to see a movie. Yeah. Otherwise,
but there are so many like creators on TikTok that do film reviews that I love. Again, it's
it's cool. It's a cool thing. People can make money off this. It's crazy. Full-time jobs.
For sure.
Supporting families. Yeah.
I'd love to see a pitch meeting for Baghead.
Yeah.
See if you can find one like the last one you sent me for Night Swim. Yeah.
So well, if he does Baghead, that'd be brilliant, because he's amazing.
Absolutely. Scream Queen. Now, we're all unhappy as a podcast. Who's ever involved in the distribution to Australia? Yeah, the exhibition and release of horror movies, where the flying F is Lisa Frankenstein. Scream Queen. Yes,
that is such a good question. Another Diablo Cody film. Zelda Williams is the director. Female-led film, like quirky horror, just like Jennifer's Body. Not Jennifer's Body, let's not get that confused, but heavily inspired by like 80s neon horror comedies.
Silent
delicious
film, Doctor of Cabinet, the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Yeah.
And it's not here.
It's not here.
It's not here. If you want to get people in seats, you need to put that movie in the cinema. And it did have a limited release in the States. I think it was in cinemas for a day. So I get it. It's a hot commode. But
a hot commode.
A hot commode. But I think that those are the movies that we need to be screening. Is those fun.
Absolutely.
Like, and again, it's not necessarily pushing major boundaries. It's heavily inspired by 80s horror films, but it's fun
itself.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got all sorts of
weird science.
Yeah.
And look, maybe if Jennifer's Body had been more successful and we had appreciated it for the art form it was, movies like Lisa Frankenstein would be
and also
cinemas.
If these studio heads actually paid attention to these YouTube cats, because every single movie reviewer has been talking a lot positively about Lisa Frankenstein since it was released there about 3 weeks ago now.
It was supposed to have an Australian release date of the 9th of February. We record this tonight on the 25th, just to get a little bit of a peek behind the curtain. So there's nothing. I went as far as northern New South Wales and the Sunshine Coast, and there's no single cinema anywhere showing it.
Yeah, this is why we need film criticism to be to step in and do its job, because if they knew how much people love this film, we wouldn't be a question of whether it was in theaters or not. But instead we get a lot of blockbuster.
So it's the old age problem of the ones who are actually running this don't actually give a fuck about movies.
No, I don't think they know what people want to see. Really,
it's the core root of what's causing this disparity. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah,
Go
'cause
see
it's
go
pretty-
see indie films.
Yep.
absolutely.
see
Yeah,
those.
100%.
It's because
Go to
Cody's
small movie
huge.
theaters.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I mean, Juno.
Juno. And
like-
what's the other big one? What's the other big one?
Diablo Cody.
Yeah, Jennifer's Body. Yeah, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, Jennifer. I was like,
Yeah.
what
Yeah,
other
yeah,
than
yeah.
Jennifer's
No,
Body?
I mean, yeah, and it's they should know that they should know its cult-like status. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, how it's lauded
Yeah.
in the generation that you want to go see
Yeah. I'm
movies.
surprised it's
Yeah.
not in, theaters like Palace or
Yeah, none of them had it.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
yeah.
but
It
in
will
5
happen.
years they'll do a screening.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah.
At New Farm
it'll be
Cinema.
full. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Shout out to them. They're great if you're
Yeah.
looking for actually a really good cinema. It's in New Farm, just you can walk there from the train station, about 20-minute walk up the road from the train station in the
Yep.
valley. Yeah, really good.
Yeah, I go there a lot.
not-
Yeah.
Not revealing too much about where I live, but I am only an 11-minute walk from that that cinema. So I'm exactly halfway between the New Farm Cinema and the Palace James Street. So often I'll go,
Nice.
which
Okay.
one do I want to go
Okay.
to?
I'm with you.
So yeah, I've got
Yeah.
them exactly the same distance apart. It's great.
That is cool. That is cool. Fat Dumpling, just down Brunswick from you there. That shop there of that franchise is incredible.
Oh.
Yeah, just to throw that out there.
We do food reviews now as
Yeah,
well.
sure.
We're branching
Hey,
out.
multifaceted.
Film
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
dying.
Yeah. With
yeah.
critics in mind, we did have our first review, if we recall, that
What?
someone
No?
on an email said that we Margaret Pomerantz the shit out of something.
Oh yeah, and spoiler alert, that was my dad. So
What film was that for?
that was for Relic. He
Okay.
called us. He said
Awesome.
we Margaret Pomerantz the shit out of it. That's a direct quote. So thank you, Dad, if you're listening.
Yes.
To this.
Shout out Scream Dad.
He literally called my sister the other day and was like, "Do you know if there's any more evil popcorn?"
Yes.
So-
The slight taste of demand right there, people.
Yeah, that's good.
We have followers.
Fantastic.
We should put that.
Lawyer.
We should put that on our shirt. If we do a
Yeah.
T-shirt, it should be Margaret Pomerantz the shit out of it.
If we ever have an office, yes, framed. behind us.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Ah.
That's very cool.
People are out there.
To finish off, how about we just do a round of recommendations? I'll go
Okay.
first, just in case anyone wants to think of anyone's Scream Queen, of that one their Scream Queen. Okay, you could go last. Okay, I'm going to do a short film that I had to do for film school, had to watch, called Creswell, Creswell, if I'm not mistaken,
Okay.
by the director of Relic, yes, which we covered on one of our official episodes, the most recent one, I believe. Go back and listen, watch there, children, if you haven't. Directed by Natalie Erica James, yes, the director of Relic. You can definitely see where she got the inspiration from. That's all I'll say,
Okay.
because it's a very much a different formal approach. Yeah.
Mhm.
The way it's shot, edited, what's shown and not, and is very cool. And yeah, really liked it. Maybe my favorite Australian short film. May want to review it,
Wow.
cover it on the
Okay,
podcast
yeah.
coming up in the future. Yeah, I was really dug it. And I watched Monster, just to throw out too. Monster, the short film that Babadook was based on. Yeah, it's cool. It's interesting if you've watched Babadook. Yeah.
Okay.
So watch
Okay.
both of them if you haven't. Yeah.
Sure.
Because we will
Sure.
do Babadook in the future.
We
no
we
doubt.
have to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
of course.
every time I
Yeah.
tell someone we're doing Australian horror, they're like, "So Babadook?" And I was like,
Oh, seriously? Yeah.
"It's the boss, I think,
Oh,
the
that's
final
cool to know.
boss."
That's good to know. Yeah. Because then maybe we could look at a Nightingale film, because that's meant to be traumatizing.
Oh yeah, I've had
Yeah.
multiple people tell me not to watch it. They said it's great, but don't watch it.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I
We'll
will
see.
do.
We'll see. Baron, do you have anything for us?
Couple of TV shows as recommendations, and just something to think about as well. Did Baghead need a werewolf? So, but just keep that in mind. So a couple of TV shows at the moment. One is a little bit older that I'm watching on a recommendation. It's called Wolf Like Me with Josh Gad.
Ah.
It's a
Okay.
werewolf TV show. The blurb
Cool.
is Gary is an emotional wreck and struggles to provide for his daughter since the death of his wife. Mary has a secret she can't bring herself to share with anyone. I've given that away what it is, but that's okay. The universe brought these two together for a reason. So that's a great little series. 2 seasons.
Okay, sounds
I'm
interesting.
really enjoying it. And the other one that has just started very recently is Sanctuary: A Witch's Tale, and it's set in the contemporary world where witchcraft is real. The story takes place in the idyllic English town of Sanctuary, where for hundreds of years witches have lived peacefully as valued members of society until now. So
Very cool.
yes, just a couple of recommendations. They're very good. I'm enjoying the hell out of them.
Nice.
But say, go on.
Sorry, I just have to. Sorry, just quickly. My short film's called Creswick, not Creswell. Really wanted
Creswick.
to,
Okay.
cover that before that went out there for too
Before
long.
we get an email.
That's a bit of a mistake.
Yeah.
Sorry, Scream Queen, go.
Oh, Scott, did you have something? Oh, Baron.
Oh no,
do you have something
it's all
to
good.
add?
That's fine. Go with your recommendations.
Okay, well, I haven't really been watching a lot. I haven't really been branching out, to be honest. I have previously mentioned have just started Criminal Minds. That's pretty much where my head's at right now. But in between various crime shows from the early 2000s, I watched. I mean, I'd already seen it. This was a rewatch, but I recommend everyone sees this movie. It was talked a lot about last year. It's the movie Bottoms by Emma Seligman.
Oh yeah, I've heard about it. Yeah,
it's a hard-hitting, like, female-led comedy. It's very sharp. It's very clever, ridiculous, Fight Club inspired. It's
okay.
Really beautiful. It's a perfect 90-minute length. It's my favorite movie that I saw last year. I've watched it. I've watched it 3 times now. And I mention this because it's just started streaming for free on Prime. So
cool.
It came at the start of the month. So now you can watch it, stream it. It's so great. And also, if I'm going to recommend Bottoms, I should also recommend her first film, Shiver Baby. It features Rachel Sennett, who's also in Bottoms, and it's sort of I would say like a comedy, sort of thriller-esque watch. It's very tense. The scoring is like very like gripping. It's really great. A little bit like I guess the way people talk about Uncut Gems, that sort of like stressful anxiety watch. It's a little bit like that. It's
I enjoy that yes.
is a 70-minute movie, really fast watch. Very like the writing is just so snappy.
Cool. Nice.
And yeah, I watched both of them. They're really great. And Iowa Debris from The Bear, she's in Bottoms. She's been going crazy on the award circuit for her performance in The Bear, and she's in it as well. Very, very funny. Watch it if you just want like a fun little like Bring It On, like old school type teen rom-com type thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. And Creswick Children you can get on Vimeo. Mr.
Popcorn,
yes.
did you think that Baghead needed a werewolf?
Yeah, it wouldn't have hurt.
Okay.
It wouldn't have hurt us. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Scream Queen?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say yes too. I think I would have liked to see a little showdown, like just a werewolf absolutely shredding that bag to pieces. I think
it would have given it some higher stakes and desperately needed higher stakes, definitely.
Yeah.
I love
the case,
Monster vs. Monster, werewolf Baghead. I think
that'll be the 5th movie. That'll be the 5th movie after they go to space. It'll be Baghead meets the werewolf.
It's called Bag Shred.
Bag Shred, yeah.
Nice. Did we want to rate it at all? Because we did rate Night Swim.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
I'll go first. I'll give it a 2.5. 2.5, just in the spirit overall of what we're talking about, of not discouraging and being balanced. And it is a 50-50. It's a take it or leave it, a fun one-time watch. And I think the best way to describe that is it is what is that? That's definitely some flop corn in there, you know, more than what was wanted when it comes out of the microwave. But you know, the good parts of the popcorn that came out, yeah, they were good. Yeah, they what is our term for that? It's just standard, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So some flop corn, but overall, you know, pretty standard enough to certainly go see. So 2.5. Baron?
Okay. I'm going to go with a 3. I liked it a little bit more because of the sets. I really enjoyed the architecture of the building, and then what the basement looked like. Like the basement was super creepy, obviously to begin with. Then it became a bit of a room, but then once they got into behind me there, the crack in the wall, it came back up again. So I think the physicality of the places they filmed increased it for me. So I'm going to go with a solid 3.
I like that.
Yeah,
Which is
I think
popcorn.
Scream.
I think I'm gonna give it a 3 as well. I definitely like enjoyed the watch. It definitely has some things that I think would have made it a little bit more compelling, raise the stakes a little bit more. But it was overall, it was pretty good. I'll give it a 3.
Yeah. Yep.
Nice. Yeah. So in general, just standardly good horror fare there, I think. Yeah, cool. Yeah. So again, Richard Warman, thank you. Faith Nightclub Brisbane, check it out if you haven't been. And follow us on all the things, the YouTube, the Facebook, the Instagram, Evil Popcorn Podcast at Evil Popcorn Pod. Yep, do all the things on the computers with those two.
Leave us reviews. Tell us how much we're like Margaret Pomeranz, please.
Pomeranz, yeah. If we get anything wrong, tell us so we can do a correctile dysfunction. That would be good. I think I won't do a Baron's crypto psychology corner because it's pretty obvious, like from the exposition, what this world sees the Baghead creature as. And I'll be interested to see what they do with a sequel, because it is obviously set up for a sequel.
I think I'm more intrigued by the sequel than I am by the film, to be honest.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll be given some more wiggle room, and actually say what they wanted to say, because they do want to say something with this film.
Yeah.
They just weren't.
They built an interesting universe.
Yeah, nice. Just a quick shout out to Think Tank Communications, who wanted to promote us on their socials. There was the lovely lady at the desk, who we met at the cinema.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And and shout out Evil Corp as well as always. And Baron, is your thingy majiggy variety show coming close? Not to
so we the Valley Variety Show. No, that's okay. It is at this point an amorphous thing that is happening in the future. So the Valley Variety Show, which will be being held at Evil Corp, is coming up. I've also got the Sunday Fun Day monthly improv show for Improv Queensland.
Nice.
And we've got the Theatre Sports Championships coming up in the Brisbane Comedy Festival, amongst other things. And just as a shout out to the Queensland Ghostbusters, check us out online. We've got the premiere for the new Ghostbusters film coming up, and we'll be doing a bunch of charity visits around that. We've got some visits to the Kiddies Hospital and that sort of thing as well. So yeah.
And you wanted to cover the new Ghostbusters on here,
Yeah, look, it's got horror themes. There's ghosts and
I'm
stuff.
keen.
I'm happy with that. Yeah, absolutely.
So I think by the time we review it, I probably will have seen it 3 or 4 times for free. So
yeah, cool.
Nice.
Done deal.
All right.
Yeah, is that us, Scream Queen?
Yeah, I think so.
You got anything to plug, Scream Queen? No.
Okay.
Getting this signal. What does this signal mean? Just be more explicit. I mean, this is really subtle.
Yes, we're working.
No, not as yet.
No, okay.
Yes, and I'm just immersed in the film school stuff. If anything comes out of it that I want to show at this stage, I'll let you know. But it's very cool. I'm enjoying it a lot. And you see, film criticism, it leads to making film, and then there's more out there for people to choose, get an understanding, perspective. Studios, fuck off. On that. We'll go and we'll leave Scream Queen to last. This has been Mr. Popcorn for Evil Popcorn, keeping it buttery.
This has been the Baron. Go to bed, children.
And this is Scream Queen. I'm screaming for more movie reviews. I think that was a flop coin.
Excellent. Right,
Thank you.
peace.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so just ending that.